Hi there, it's Trinette. I'm back again today to have a chat around mind chatter. Now, I know that many of us have constant negative thoughts running through our heads all the time. So today I'm really looking at 5 ways that we can break that negative thought pattern that goes through our heads, because when thoughts come about, then they become things, and we don't want to have those negative things popping up for us. So we want to be able to think about how we can get the really good positive thought patterns happening within our minds. Yeah, well, whatever we think now will end up our reality, because thoughts precede reality, which means that any thoughts require behaviours to happen in order for that reality to happen. So a lot of the mind chatter that goes on within our heads can actually influence whether or not we achieve what we want to achieve into the future and what our reality is. So I've got 5 different tips here today to think about, for you to be able to just reflect on and think about how you can change some of the things within your life where you might be able to break some negative thought patterns in your mind, because I know that the whole constant mind chatter can be really tough. So the very first one is to try to override that mental head chatter with some other items. So it could be that you might want to go out and listen to music. So if you're hearing that negative head chatter in your head, then chuck some music on. Maybe get up and dance. You've got to really stop and jump out of that negative thought pattern that you're in, because the longer you're in it, the harder it is to pull yourself out. The second one is to change your environment. So when you're looking at changing your environment, you're taking notice of what's going on around you and whether you're putting yourself into positions where you're around negative people or a negative physical environment. Now, if that's the case, then you might want to start thinking about ways that you can actually promote positive environment. So if you go back to listen to the chat that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago around changing your patterns or your negative patterning, well, changing your environment can be very similar. You might need to start implementing some new changes in order to ensure that the environment's appropriate for you. So we all know that we are as positive as the people that we are around. So if you want to be positive, then go around and make sure that you're hanging around those positive people or those influential people, if that's what you like. Another way that you can do is, if you do have constant mind chatter coming in and out all of the time, you might want to stop and think about, well, what are the 5 different types of things that I see around me which are green? What are 5 things around the room or my environment that are yellow? Now, if you can name those things, you are actually using a different part of your brain. Now, by doing that, you're really stopping that negative head chatter in its tracks and you're diverting it into something a little bit different. Now, by doing that, it's actually going to make you feel so much better that you've actually stopped that negative head chatter in its tracks. The other thing is gratitude, and I've spoken to this about quite a few times within these chats with you, but just sitting back and counting your blessings and thinking about all of the things that you're happy about in your life and what's going well for you is a really good way to stop that negative head chatter, because you can't positively be thinking negatively when your mind is focused on thinking positively. So think about some of the things that you're grateful for, and even jot them down, because that's a really positive thing you can do. And the last one is actually do something nice for someone else. Now, when you're doing something nice for somebody, your head chatter, well, you might end up with a little bit of negative head chatter to begin with, but it's very hard to be doing something good for someone else while still thinking about that negative headspace. So by doing something good for someone else, it will in turn make you feel much better as well. So I hope these short little hints and tips are helpful for you in being able to break that negative head chatter.